Okay, hey guys, I know I can't be there with you today or this morning, so I have decided to record the reading lesson for today. So if you will go ahead and put in your earphones, and I'm going to walk you through our reading lesson, okay? All right, so our learning targets for today are I can use synonyms and antonyms to support my understanding of vocabulary. The next learning target is I can describe the author's use of idioms, adages, and proverbs. And the last one is I can recognize literal language versus figurative language in a text. So we're going to get started. The first thing we are going to look at are synonyms and antonyms. And we already know that synonym means the same and antonyms mean they are different. They are not alike, okay? So we're going to look at our examples over here on number 1. It says the rabbit is fast while the turtle is slow. Well, I know that fast means to do something quickly, okay, that you don't take a lot of time to do it. I know that slow means it is not quick, that it takes a long time. So I believe that those two things are antonyms. So I'm going to put an A next to number 1 because it's an antonym. They mean something different. Okay, let's look at number 2. The tiny egg lay on the bottom of the little leaf. Well, I know that tiny means kind of small, and I know that little means, it also means small. So because these two things have a similar meaning, these are synonyms. Now I know that number 3 and 4 says to do it on your whiteboard, but I want you guys to get out a piece of paper, and on that piece of paper, I want you to title it Synonyms and Antonyms, and tell me if the words in number 3 and number 4 are synonyms or antonyms, okay? So you're going to look at number 3. The perfect square was accurate on all sides. So you're looking at the word perfect and accurate. And on your piece of paper, you're going to tell me, are those synonyms or antonyms? And you will do the same thing for number 4. So you may want to pause this video and do that real quick. Okay, so Miss Montgomery, she's going to be with you today. She should have given you this anchor chart for you to glue into your red spirals. So in our story today, we are going to be talking about idioms, adages, and proverbs. Well, an idiom, we've talked about this some, is an expression that means something different from the meaning of its individual words. So the words that are in there have a different meaning, okay? So our example says, who put a bee in her bonnet? Who put a bee in her bonnet? Well, there's not literally a bee in somebody's bonnet or hat. That phrase means that you are obsessed with something and can't stop thinking about it, okay? This phrase is often used when you are worried or angry. So if I see that you're worried at school, I may say, who put a bee in your bonnet? Even though there's not actually a bee in your bonnet. So that's an example of an idiom. The next thing we are going to look at is an adage, okay? An adage. An adage is a short statement that expresses a general truth or piece of advice. All right, so it's typically some truth or some advice. An example would be that actions speak louder than words. That's an advice. That's a common phrase, that actions speak louder than words. So that would be an example of an adage. A proverb. A proverb is something else we're going to look at today. Proverb is a short, popular saying, usually of ancient origin, so it comes from something way back in the day. There's my little pop-up, okay, that expresses truth based on common sense or experience, okay? And an example is, all that glitters is not gold. All that glitters is not is not gold. Okay, that means everything that's shiny is not always fancy, or it's not always good. Okay, so it's something that comes from an ancient origin that expresses truth. Okay, so proverbs and adages both express truth. Okay, but a proverb comes from an ancient source, from something long ago. Okay, so I'm going to watch this idiom video, and we are going to watch an adage and proverb video that goes along with this.
My parents for an iPad and they said no way, it's too expensive, so I asked how much I'd have to pay. They said an arm and a leg, and I was pretty bummed. That is until I learned that that was just an idiom.
So the fact that it cost an arm and a leg, it doesn't actually cost you your arm and a leg. It just means that it's very expensive. So that's an example of an idiom.
Is a phrase that doesn't make much sense unless you heard it before and you knew what it meant. The words themselves could be used in a different way than what the person means when they use the phrase. Saying you messed up, oh, that's an idiom. Kill two birds with one stone, that's an idiom. Say you give it a shot, that's an idiom. Roll in a china shop, that's an idiom. When someone has cold feet, what does that really mean? That they lost their shoes and their feet will freeze? These are cold feet of a different kind. It means that they got nervous and they changed their mind. If we're in the same boat, we don't have to be at sea. It just means you're in the same situation as me. It's raining cats and dogs is something one might say, but all it really means is that there's lots of rain. That's a piece of cake, that's an idiom. I'm drowning in a plane, that's an idiom. Cats out of the bag, that's an idiom. Gonna have a blast, that's an idiom.
So, why would someone use an idiom?
Well, idioms make what you say or write sound more interesting.
Do you mean, instead of saying, I'm excited, I could say, I'm over the moon? And that sounds more interesting, right?
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head.
Okay, so that was our video about idioms. Now we are going to watch a video about adages and proverbs. And hopefully this will give you some better insight into what these look like.
Hello, readers. Let's learn about proverbs and adages. Let's start with a proverb. It's a phrase that most people in a culture believe to be true and gives advice. An adage is also a phrase that most people in a culture believe to be true, but it doesn't really give advice. Proverbs and adages are types of figurative language. Authors use figurative language to make their writing more interesting to the reader. Let's see some examples.
Don't judge a book by its cover. Birds of a feather flock together. Better safe than sorry. Opposites attract.
Wonders tells us that proverbs and adages are short sayings or expressions that have been used for a long time and express a general truth. Every culture has them. Look for context clues to help you figure out the meanings of proverbs and adages. As you read today, watch for proverbs and adages. You'll have a chance to practice twice this week.
Okay, so let's get into our story. Okay, go ahead and flip to page 206. Okay, and we are going to look at these questions. Okay, so pause this video and take some time to reread page 206. Okay, so once you have paused and played this video, we are going to look for an adage in our text. So let's look back. An adage is a short statement that expresses a general truth or piece of advice. Okay, so what adage can you identify? Well, the adage in our text here was that, hey, don't count your chickens before they're hatched. That means I'm getting ahead of myself. So what does that saying mean? Well, don't count your chickens before they hatch means not to count on something before it actually happens. So you're getting ahead of yourself. You're kind of jumping to a conclusion that you don't know is going to happen because it hasn't happened yet. So what does this saying mean in relation to the text? Well, it means that the fourth young man shouldn't be overly confident about winning the race and marrying the princess until he actually competes in the race itself. So there's no way he can actually know that he's going to win. So the adage we see here is, hey, don't count your chickens before they hatch. And these should be the answers to some of your know it, show it questions. So you may want to go ahead and fill those out on your know it, show it page. Okay, I'm going to do this next one very quick. All right, what proverb or idiom does Atlanta say? So now we are on page 208. So take a second to pause and look for the idiom that Atlanta says. So the idiom that Atlanta says is, they're going to eat my dust. Well, what does this mean? This means that she's going to outrun everyone else in the race. Okay, she's going to outrun everybody in the race. And how would the meaning of each expression be different if you thought about the meaning of each individual word? Practice makes perfect.